Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Today we're going to present you Chapter 8, Being Part of a Globalized World. So in this chapter, the chapter title will be, What does it mean to live in a globalized world? As you know, this is part of Issue 3, Being Part of a Globalized World. So this is the first of the 4 chapters that follow. And this will be covered in Secondary 4. So just a quick buzz, we take a look at where did these products originate from. If you take these shoes, where does it originate from? It's actually an American brand, but it's made in Asia. And this one is quite well known. It is an Apple phone. I mean, it's iPhone X. It is designed in California, assembled in China. And we have this jasmine white rice. And where does it come from? Thailand, Cambodia, Laos, and Vietnam. I mean, other countries do have them, but these are the main areas where they produce the rice. And this is a herb boots. They actually originate from Australia and New Zealand, but they're made in China. So, although the product labels usually state one country of origin, the raw materials actually needed to produce them may not just be from that country. From this Hermes is in Paris, it's made in France, but actually the materials may not necessarily come from France. So, you take a look at this car. This car is actually made of a ton of materials like copper, lead, steel, timber, you have xenon, you have oxygen, carbon. All these materials actually come from all over the world. And the next picture, which is this, look at all the different parts that made our car. They actually come from a lot of countries: Russia, China, Mexico, U.S.A, and South America. So, in terms of China, we all know it is one of the manufacturing giants in the world. So they actually produce 24 million worth of production vehicles, and compared to other countries, well, they just dwarf in comparison. So we look at the definition of globalization. So before we move there, we need to understand that the relationship between countries, they actually create interconnections. What do you mean? If you take a look at the picture, customer wants a product. So where does he buy from? Obviously from a retailer like your shop, your brick and mortar shop such as your Adidas shop at a nearby shopping mall. But they also need products which is sent by the distributor. Distributor are key point between producer, the factory which produce the goods, and the retailer. So they'll send to a distributor to distribute to the retailers. And last but not least, producer, which are the factories, also need the raw materials which come from animals, oils, plants, etc. So this connection lead to interdependent relationships where they are depending on each other, supplier, producer, consumers. For example, if the consumers stop buying their product, perhaps due to fear like mad cow disease, so, well, the retailer won't be able to sell as much beef, so they won't buy so much from the distributor, and distributor wouldn't want to buy so much from the producer. So producer will be stuck with a supply of beef, so they have to stop killing cows for a moment until the demand actually picks up. So definition of globalization, this is very important. And globalization is a process in which ideas and activities of people in different parts of the world become interconnected. So the keywords are highlighted, so this is what you need to take note. So we take a look at the cartoon that reflects the nature of globalization. You can see that at the top you have a person using a tablet. You're seeing people reaching from one continent to perhaps another continent. You have people using laptop, you have overseas call, mobile phones, and they're doing research in various places. So you can realize that they're actually connected to each other and not just stuck in a certain place. So we'll take a look at a video which is made in China. The video link is found below. You can take a look at the YouTube link, but after watching the video, you will have idea that the video is actually about an American family. They wish to stop using products that are made from China, and what will happen as a result of that. So after watching a video, we will continue in this video. So, why did the American family feature avoid products that were made in China for 1 year? They actually stopped buying the products made in China for 1 year to see how China products have penetrated the American markets. They want to see how many of the products actually come from China, and if they stop using that, what kind of consequence do they face? And what's the result? They found that there are some product which is very hard to replace, such as coffee maker, as most of our coffee makers were from China. US made products were also much more expensive when compared to made in China products, which means they had to fork up more money. And how has exporting to America impacted the lives of Chinese workers? It has improved their lives because they now enjoy higher wages and also enjoy a higher standard of living. With more money, you can buy more goods to increase your standard of living. What does the video illustrate about the economies of countries? They are actually very much interdependent and interconnected. So goods that are produced in China are being sold in U.S.A. They actually benefit from a larger market share. China enjoy that, and they can earn a larger amount of profit as compared to just selling in China. So moving on, the driving forces of globalization. Globalization can be divided into three driving forces. The first one is developments in transport, growth in MNC, and advancement in technology. So the world has shrunk in terms of the time needed to get from one place to another as compared to last time when airplanes weren't invented. So in this case, you have airplanes which go at a faster rate, perhaps 500 km/h, which gets you from one place to another in a shorter time period. And this allows you to get from one place to another place faster. Because of the size and speed, you can transport more people at a faster speed, which is awesome. So, if you take a look, steam locomotive is at 8 km/h. If you run, you'll be at about 10 km/h. So it's actually much faster than steam locomotive. However, you can't transport so many goods at the same time, which the steam locomotive is used to transport at that point of time. But now we go to Japan. They have such things such as bullet trains and high-speed railways, which can go up to 320 km/h. That is very, very fast. This enables more goods and people to be carried per trips as compared to previous time when using ship. Now, this leads also to savings in cost. You can buy things from overseas at a cheaper cost because the delivery cost is way lower now. It facilitates the process of interconnectedness among humans, which is awesome. So Singapore, in light of this, has to adapt to the globalizing world. So he has to be efficient and integrated transport system actually helps to move these goods at a faster rate and a more efficient rate. So this leads to exchange of ideas between countries as well. So, for example, the most recent one is from KL to Singapore. They are building a high-speed railway where you can go from Singapore to KL, the capital of Malaysia, in just 90 minutes. While the estimated date is 2020, but we all know that it will take perhaps a little longer. And the minimum speed of high-speed rail is 250 km/h. That's about twice as fast as the speed limit in Singapore highway. So, connecting Singapore to the world, Singapore has to constantly adapt and grow. Otherwise, it will be considered an ancient artifact, or perhaps like an extinct dinosaur. So, in 2017, we actually built Terminus 4, which is way past. So, in 2018, they actually created this new retail airport development, which is called the Jewel, which can be shown in the picture, which looks awesome from the top. And by 2018, 323 million refurbished Terminal 1 will be in place. And this is just in the light of the new mega Terminal 5 in a few years' time, which is really going to be the biggest in the region. Besides developments in transport, we are moving on to the growth of MNCs. Definition of MNCs, or multinational corporations. Multinational corporations, or MNCs, are businesses with economic activities in more than one country. As long as they have economic activities in more than one country, a company will be considered a MNCs. So, the global span of their operation drive globalization because they increase the economic interconnection between people and goods. After all, when you have a bigger market share, when you create more businesses overseas, you definitely earn more money. So let's take a look at a few companies over here. I believe you would have seen a few of them, if not all of them. They are actually called the giants of the world, giant companies of the world. So for example, Starbucks, the sources of coffee come from all over the world. Can you imagine? Look at the number of Starbucks shops. 2003 has increased to how much? So practically almost everywhere you can actually get a Starbucks, and all the ingredients actually come from all over the world. Okay, so we take a look at the task, which is choose the MNC for the task and answer flowing. So for this, you might want to choose a MNC for you and take a look at perhaps any MNC that you know and use it to do your research. So what kind of product does it have? Where does it operate? Production, raw materials, R&D, research and development if you are not sure. How many employees does it have? And what is the revenue? Revenue of the MNC. Revenue refers to the money that it makes before deducting all the rent, the wages of the employees. Yes, that would be the revenue. How much does it earn yearly? So we look at the MNCs in Singapore. Singapore is home to many MNCs, which makes us a major site of international business today. And if you can ask your parents, or you might be working in one before, you realize that most of the companies around are actually MNCs. For example, Bread Talk, it has a branch in Singapore and Malaysia, and is branching off the Southeast Asia region. You have Singapore Airlines, you have Popular, you have Singapore and Malaysia, which is 2 countries already. You have Ya-Kun, Kaya Toast, which move on beyond Singapore. And MNCs, besides local companies which branch off to other areas, they also have other foreign-owned MNCs which have brought many benefits to Singapore. Your parents could be employed in one, you could probably be employed in one next time, and you have higher wages compared to what is previously given if you work in a local firm, and you have new technology and exchange ideas between countries because you will be working with colleagues from other countries as well. So Toyota from Japan, you have Coca-Cola from America, you have Cadbury, and you have Google, which is one of the major giants today. So last but not least, advancement in technology. When we look at advancement of technology, we look at technology that is in current and it's going to come out soon. So technology advancement have resulted in greater access to the internet and increasing use of mobile communication. In this case, you can see this is like a VR technology. Who knows, next time we might be using that to communicate with our doctors, with perhaps businesses. So this actually facilitate communication exchange of information, which is very crucial. You could send an email, you could call and ensure your colleagues overseas get your information. So these are the applications which makes it possible, and let's see whether you can understand them. So you have Google Map, you better understand the map from overseas. You can Gmail, you can send an email to others. You have WhatsApp, you can send to other people in other countries using different numbers as long as you have their number in your contacts. And you can use YouTube, you can create videos for others to watch, which is like the one you're watching now. You have Skype, you can talk with people overseas just using their email. You can have video conversation or just audio, it's fine. And you have Instagram. How can this be ignored? Instagram is everywhere. You can actually talk to others through their comments and through posting of pictures. So besides that, if you take a look at the picture, it shows the evolution of mobile phones. So evolution of mobile phone make it convenient for people to communicate anytime and anywhere. You see the screen getting smaller, then it grows larger, and you can see the amazing change in technology. So reflection, you should know by the end of this chapter what is globalization, what are the 3 forces which drives globalization, and what is an example of globalization, and last but not least, how does globalization affect your life. And that's the end of chapter 8. Thank you and have a very good day. Thank you.